Mark. So, Howard, do you want to say a couple things for us? Okay.
No, I just want to say, again, thank you for coming today. I'm Howard Rutherford, President and CEO of the Pier Aquarium, soon to be Secrets of the Sea, Marine Exploration Center and Aquarium. Butch thought it was important for me to mention that I was once sitting in your shoes here at the USF College of Marine Science. My major professor was Ken Fanning over here. I was fortunate enough to work on a number of blue ocean projects, from the WOS, the World Ocean Circulation Project, to JGOS, to GLOBEC. Traveled all the world's oceans and had some great experiences, and that's enabled me to actually function quite well in this position to talk to our funders, our partners, our donors on actually the transition that we're making from the Pier Aquarium to Secrets. So I'll turn it over to Butch, and I'll be more than happy to answer any questions and help connect any of the dots that are left. But I also want to recognize Teresa Burris right here. Teresa and I co-chair the St. Petersburg Science Festival. I want to thank the College of Marine Science for playing such a major role in the Science Festival. It's only going to grow from where we were last year. We had 12,000 people show up. We just recently got an Alfred P. Sloan Foundation grant to build that. We have a number of other foundations that are interested, and so we hope to bring some celebrity scientists here. If you have any connections to Jim Parsons from the Big Bang Theory, or any other celebrity, emphasis on celebrity, not necessarily scientists, but we'll also look at scientists as well. But the goal here is to bring the masses in to learn more about what you do and what all of us do within the St. Pete Ocean team.
Thank you, Howard. All right. Well, now that we have you here, we're going to talk about the real subject of trying to sell some timeshares to you. So, sorry. No, just kidding. So, like Howard said, my name is Butch Ringelspaugh. I'm the curator of exhibits at the Pier Aquarium, and I'm also a graduate student here at the lovely College of Marine Science. Now, how many of you have been out to the pier, let alone the Pier Aquarium? How about the Pier Aquarium? Well, hands went down a little bit. All right. Well, I've been with the Pier Aquarium for the last 8 years. Been the curator about the last 5. I've worked with the Florida Aquarium for several years at the beginning of that time, and honestly I've been happier with the Pier Aquarium. It's a great organization. It's not just an entertaining facility. We represent you guys. We represent the great marine research that occurs in downtown St. Petersburg. So I've been incredibly proud. I've stuck around and managed to hang in there with the graduate work because I love it so much over at the aquarium. So I'm going to give a brief overview of what it's all about. I'm going to touch on some of the highlights, some of the exhibits, and I invite Howard to chime in any time if I miss anything, because there's a lot of stuff going on and a lot of planning. We've been actually looking for a new space for the last, 5 years or so. Because we really outgrew our boundaries at the pier. We're in about 2,000 square feet. 1,500 square foot of that is exhibit space. 500 is gift shop. And then we have a few extra 100 square feet for office space. The facility that we're going to be, well, I'll back up again. We were looking for the new space because we outgrew that space. We put as many exhibits into that facility as possible. People come into the pier and they say, oh, this is just it. I don't know how much you can fit into the second floor of an upside-down pyramid, but we did our best, and so we just needed more space to expand that. And we go way beyond just what occurs in that 2,000 square feet. We have a lot of education outreach programming. Specifically, we have school groups that come to the pier, and we do a surf and turf program where we do an hour tour of the aquarium and an hour down at Spa Beach collecting critters, learning about the bay and what they're catching. Another one is Ocean in Motion, which we have a couple of traveling touch tanks, 50 gallons each, that we bring to a classroom for 5 to 6 weeks at a time, and we send an educator out weekly to do programming with the help of the aquarium system. We also maintain aquaria around town. We maintain the MSL lobby tank. We have a tank over at the head office of the Florida Orchestra. We're about to install a nice 1,100 gallon tank over at USF St. Pete in their new student center. So we've got a lot going on that exceeds what we do inside that 2,000 square foot space. And we do summer camps throughout the summer. So Also keep in mind, those of you that have children, we have summer camps coming up. We're going to be doing 9 weeks of it called the Summer Marine Adventures. All right, so we'll move on. So I don't know if you recognize the name at the bottom of this quote here. Peter Betzer was the former dean of the College of Marine Science for many, many years. And he wrote this up for us for our movement to the Secrets of the Sea. And so for 25 years, the Pier Aquarium has excited, enlightened, engaged, and inspired young and old alike to the wonders of the watery realms that dominate our planet. Its expansion and transformation into a one-of-a-kind facility, that's a little misspelled there, Secrets of the Sea, will affect and continue to inspire future generations as we explore the mysteries of the marine world. And so Peter Betzer is one of our founding board members, still remains on the board, and has been a great cheerleader for our program and leader for us. All right, so how many of you are familiar with Johns Pass Village out in Madeira Beach? How about Madeira Beach? Okay, so Madeira Beach is about 20-25 minutes, almost due west of here. Johns Pass Village is a big tourist district where there's lots of restaurants, shops, water-based adventures like parasailing and jet skiing and deep-sea fishing, stuff of that nature. So out at Johns Pass Village, there is a big parking garage right off of Gulf Boulevard. There's Bubba Gump Shrimp Company on one side. There's Hooters on the inlet side. Yeah, it's a great draw. And it's rated one of the best family attractions that I'm not in existence. So here we are. This is the space that we're going to inhabit, and that was potential. It was originally built for retail space that wraps around the parking garage. It goes first and second floor. Picture this is Gulf Boulevard here, so Gulf of Mexico out here. And so this is the north side, east side, and we're going to be taking both first and second floor, totaling of close to 13,000 square feet. So we're going to go from about 1,500 square foot of exhibit space up to over 7,000 square feet. We'll be increasing our aquarium volume by more than 10,000 gallons. We will go from our current visitor rate of about between 70 and 80,000 guests a year, up to close to at least 250,000 guests a year, because there's a ton of foot traffic that comes through the Johns Pass Village. We'll go from 25,000 students through our education program to an estimated at least 40,000 annually. So it's definitely a great move for us to be able to establish ourselves out there in Johns Pass Village. And I know that there's the Clearwater Marine Aquarium up the street in Clearwater. We have the Florida Aquarium, and we have Moat Marine Lab. And we don't compete with any of them. We actually work more closely with them than anything. And we all have our own little niche. Clearwater has their Winter of the Dolphin, and Florida Aquarium has the big extravagant exhibits, and Moat has the shark research and whatnot. And we are the focus of the St. Pete Ocean team. So that's what separates us. So this is what the building looks like out there in Johns Pass. There's a little coffee shop that's still there, but the rest of the space is vacant, ready for us to start our build-out construction. We'll modify the building slightly to suit our needs, like enclosing this balcony. In this next illustration, you'll see what it might look like once we're completed with that renovation. So we'll enclose all that balcony space, give it a new paint job and signage. And then that's the north-facing side, so Gulf Boulevard is just to the right there. And then this would be the entry to the aquarium facility. This is coming from Hooters across the footbridge, and the tickets and entrance is right there. And so this is the floor plan that stands right now for what we're planning for. All this gray space is back of house for all the aquaria. That was the balcony space that goes all the way around. So you'll enter in and be met with a introduction, a sea sleuth introduction. And we will have interviews with local marine scientists that will talk about what they do and what mysteries that they are working to solve and what they've made their career focus on. So it might be one of you. If you want to volunteer, let me know. We'll have a moon jellyfish tank which will greet you as you come in. And then we originally had to plan for just moving our existing aquaria over. So a lot of this was the same footprints of some of our tanks, and then we've got some new tanks and larger tanks, but we've gotten to the point where we can purchase all new stuff and bigger stuff. So right here we have our reef tank that if you've been in the Pier Aquarium, we've got a 400-gallon reef tank, and we've got a giant clam growing in there and all sorts of Indo-Pacific coral. And so this is what it looks like as you walk in with that coral tank right here. It will be called Clues from Coral. And flanked from it, we've got a mystery station, which will focus on how satellite imagery, remote sensing assists in coral reef research and mapping. So each live exhibit will be complemented by an interactive mystery station that focuses on a research innovation component that's developed with the St. Pete Ocean team that benefits the live critters that you see in the tank. So it's not just the fish swimming around. There's a purpose to that we're showing that this great work that's happening in downtown St. Petersburg is benefiting animals worldwide. And so that coral reef exhibit will look something like this. We'll have those live corals there, nice informational panel talking about coral reefs and a identification panel. And then of course behind the scenes we'll have all the filtration and whatnot. And so a little bit further down we'll have another mystery station on dolphin ID, where we've got some local dolphin researchers with NOAA, and they will assist us in engaging our guests and what goes on within our Tampa Bay region in dolphin research. And then a little bit further down, this is Corals on Acid. This is my project that I am beginning to lay the foundation for here at the college. This tank right here is going to be put on exhibit. There's two tanks that will be put right across from one another. This tank is right over in the night center right now. And so I will be studying the effects of climate change on the critically endangered species of hard coral of the Caribbean, elkhorn and staghorn coral. And so the one tank will be the control, the other one will be the treatment tank, and guests will be able to make their own observations, and we'll have live streaming data coming in from what's happening in those tanks. In fact, this is a snapshot of what's happening in my aquaria just down the way, where I've got sensors that log this information real time. And so the guests will be able to see that happening. And that's what's really exciting about the facilities. We'll be able to pipe in live streaming data from marine sensors all around, Mark's buoy sensors, and so guests will be able to see what's happening right then and there out in Tampa Bay, the Gulf of Mexico, the Caribbean, so on and so forth. Let me back up. One of our signature exhibits is Science on a Sphere, which is positioned here in the corner. That is a NOAA exhibit that they are providing for us. That looks something like this. It's a 6-foot globe suspended from the ceiling with 4 projectors around it. And it can project planet Earth there. And you can have hundreds of canned programs from, this is ocean currents. You can have hurricanes, plate tectonics, climate change scenarios. You think of it, it can do it. And so we'll have a docent there facilitating the program. And we'll even have a live feed camera that Bay News 9 will install so that they could go live with their weather programming. So it's a very versatile program, and it's very excited about that.
It should be mentioned that we're one of 3 aquarium in the country that actually have this facility. The other 2 aquariums are Aquarium of the Pacific in Long Beach, California, and the North Carolina Aquarium. So we are looking at ways to partner with both of those agencies to develop educational programming around this tool here. So we're looking at weather and climate as somewhat of a topic and catalyst to start that conversation.
Is the sphere actually spinning physically, or the cameras going with it, or what?
The cameras.
Yeah,
Make it appear that it's moving.
The projection
Yeah.
Is changing.
moves, is changing. The sphere and the projectors themselves are fixed.
But the interesting point is that you can, if there's an activity or event in our backyard, it can be demonstrated real time on the sphere, and then the students or the visitors can walk around the globe to see what else is happening at that very moment. So there are really cool things like all the flight patterns that are going on anytime around the world can be demonstrated on here. I mean, there's just a ton of activities that you can do.
We're even planning to develop some materials on the BP blowout through the C-Image collaboration that can be programmed onto this.
And Butch mentioned Bay News 9, but we also have Bright House as a partner on this as well. And they've plumbed the entire facility with the infrastructure that we need to handle the large data loads that will be coming in from the college as well as the other partners here. And then they're also going to put in wireless throughout the entire facility. So we'll be able to do some of what we're calling the environmental learning clouds with your smartphone or iPad devices. You can tap into additional information that may not be displayed at the exhibit, but there are other people that want to go into additional information regarding the topics.
Thank you. Probably have to.
Have you seen the one in the Smithsonian? Is it like that, or is
Yes, it is.
That's the one in DC, you said?
At San Ocean Hall? Yes.
All right, so as you come around the corner there, we'll also have a touch tank, because that's one of our most popular activities at the aquarium right now. This is called Touch Tampa Bay. It'll be about a 900-gallon touch tank, so we'll have a focus on local marine animals, invertebrates and vertebrates alike. And also across from it, which I'll show a nice little rendition of the touch tank area. Across from it, we're going to have a nice 1,200-gallon tank or so that has a cylinder inside of it, so you can stand up inside and enjoy the fish swimming above your head or the eel sitting on your head. And so we have our touch tank there that we can update anything on the whiteboard of special critters to focus on and look for, and staff picks for special information. Let's see what do we have. And then we have our video light microscope mystery station, in which we may begin with Pam's lovely forams that we can put in the microscope and talk about what great research the Reef Indicators Lab is actively conducting. And then as you go downstairs on the end there, we'll have a final signature exhibit, which will most likely be phased into another time so that we can have another exciting exhibit to bring in. It's up to a 4,000-gallon Tampa Bay estuary tank. We'll have a mangrove growing out of the one end here, and it will drop off to a 6-foot depth that you could walk all the way around the tank. And we'll also be replicating a thunderstorm experience, kind of like a Rainforest Cafe type experience where the storms roll across Tampa Bay, and we'll have fans and wave makers and lightning and all sorts of stuff to simulate that, so you can see what happens underwater in Tampa Bay when these storms come across. And then we'll also touch on why those storms are important to the health of the bay and how humans have an effect on the runoff when those storms occur. And then, of course, our guest will, oh wait, I forgot about something. There's the tank. And Energize Research, which is going to be a real exciting thing for graduate students here at the college. And that exhibit will focus on 3 prospective research projects. And those students will make their pitch on what they're proposing and what impact that project is going to have on our environment And then our guests will be able to vote on that with their dollar. And then that money will go to an account that whoever wins after a certain amount of time, their project gets funded. So that will be a real nice little booster for the research community here for the students. And then, of course, exit through the gift shop there. And I'll also back up to the first floor here. We have support space over here. Of course, we've got our administrative offices. And then we're going to have our food prep, quarantine, water quality lab, aquaculture. All that stuff is going to be visible from the sidewalk, so the guests walking by can see what's going on and get interested in wanting to see more. And so we will also be making all of our own salt water with a reverse osmosis filtration unit. And that water will be pumped through the entire building, so all the exhibits will have access to that. And then the guests will be able to see all the nice fish being cut up and fish meal and all that stuff that's going to get fed to our collection. And then down here is our learning lab and classroom so that we can do our educational programming. And we'll be able to partner with local community partners there with eco tours out on the water. We'll have a beach access across the street so that we can get the kids out on the beach collecting critters and be able to go into the bay. So it's a great opportunity for being right there off of the Gulf of Mexico. And so, like I mentioned already, we're estimating up to 250,000 visitors annually, and we potentially will generate $8 million impact on that local economy of the South Pinellas Beach community. With that, thank you. Howard, do you have anything else that you want to add in there? We have some great partnerships, and
Yeah, I think it's important to note that we have such an extended reach in our community, not only here in Pinellas County and the Bay Area, but nationally as well. Butch mentioned a little bit about our outreach programs. Our most recent grant from the National Science Foundation has allowed us to develop a Florida Teen Sci Cafe network. So we're partnering with the Florida Aquarium in Hillsborough and Marine Lab down in Minnesota counties. They stretch out to Manatee and Sarasota. And the idea here is to model after our adult Sci Cafe programs. I don't know if any of you have been to our adult Sci Cafe programs. We're not going to take the teenagers to the bar and have a drink and think with our scientists. We're going to go to locations that the teenagers are actually gathering. So in Sarasota, there's a Red Elephant Pizza place. I don't know if you've ever been to one of those. We don't have those in Pinellas, but they have one in Hillsborough and Sarasota. And our first speaker is Nick
Whitney.
Whitney, who is a shark.
He's a shark researcher with Moat Marine Lab.
Yes. And the idea is that this the scientist actually will do the circuit. They'll do a conversation at each of the 3 sites within the 3 counties. So that's one example of how the Pier Aquarium has a reach beyond just Pinellas County. We're part of one of 5 nodes in the country that are coming online. One of the main reasons they chose us is because of the ocean team and the focus on marine research and technology here. So we're kind of a test bed for that. The other grant that we're involved with is one of the NOAA grants. It's Education Outreach Ocean Literacy Grant. We're trying to, again, use the sphere as a tool to teach storytelling. There are some great storytellers out there. We hope that we can be better storytellers in our messages at the facility. So we have some wonderful opportunities, not only with the Sci Cafes, but also with the Science Festival, as I mentioned before, to get those messages out. And I don't know if there's anything else we want to mention, but Mark?
Well, we mentioned the St. Petersburg Ocean Team several times. How many of you are familiar with the St. Petersburg Ocean Team? Okay, so here we go. This is a concept of former Mayor Rick Baker. Within sight, basically, of downtown St. Petersburg, there are 12 to 14 entities, marine technology, marine research, and all together employ about 1,600 marine science professionals of one flavor or another. And most people who live in this area don't even know that this is going on in their backyard. It's probably the largest concentration of marine science and technology professionals, certainly anywhere in the Southeast, perhaps in the U.S. It rivals, if you take all of those entities together, it rivals Scripps and Woods Hole. And so as sort of a marketing thing, Mayor Baker established this St. Petersburg Ocean team, of which the College of Marine Science is a member, as is the Pier Aquarium. So the whole concept for our move out to this Marine Exploration Center and Aquarium is to be the face, the public face of all of those marine science and technology entities, and to have exhibits that build on and display and distribute to the public the gist of that research and technology in an interesting and entertaining way. So you trick them into learning something. But to also just promote all of that marine research and technology that's going there. So there'll be the exhibits that Butch has talked about really just scratch the surface. There'll be a constant evolution of exhibits as new research and technology is developed amongst the members of the ocean team. It includes people like Fish and Wildlife Research Institute, USGS, National Marine Fisheries Service, SRI International, the Coast Guard. There's several private corporations in the area as well that are all part of this ocean team. And again, Butch mentioned the Energizing Research exhibit, where people will vote for graduate research proposals with their funds, but the idea is to engage those visitors through social media to keep them apprised of what's going on with the winning subject or winning research project, and that eventually that would be the source of a new exhibit down the line for the aquarium. So anyway, I'd like to thank Howard and Butch for being here today. Entertain any questions.
I have two. One is like you told about the sphere. So do you have like plans on like having the real-time feeds from the institute buoys all around the world? That could be kind of a component of that. Can it happen, like real-time data?
Yes.
Okay.
And
oh, so you
Currently, there is a live feed from NOAA that is provided, but we can adapt it regionally to our area as well.
so there'll be IOS feed, both global and regional, and even our COPS sites are going to be fed into an exhibit just adjacent to the sphere. Butch didn't talk about it, but we're also, remember the Campbell Park site that we built several years ago? Well, that's no longer being supported, so we're actually going to move that to the boardwalk at Johns Pass Village so people can actually see the observing site and then walk inside and see the real-time data coming in from that site and other sites around Tampa Bay and up and down the west coast of Florida.
Okay. The second is like, do you have any like facilities for hosting meetings at your facility? Like, say for example, like somebody wants to host, like I work for Sakura, the Coastal Ocean Observing Regional Association for Southeast. If you want to host some meeting, do you have like meeting rooms or something?
The learning lab downstairs will be a multi-purpose room, so we could use that. That would probably host what, about 30 or 40 people in there, possibly. With the partnerships that we're forming with some of the hoteliers along the beach, they just came on board with a $100,000 sponsorship as of yesterday. So we have right now 8 hoteliers along the beach that have contributed $20,000 for 5 years collectively. That's a partnership that we can explore to bring in some other additional meeting spaces.
And Hooters has a meeting room in the back.
Oh, yeah.
I had a quick one. I'm sorry if this was addressed already, but did you have a tentative opening date?
Was there no slide?
Is there another slide? Go, one more slide. There we
Oh,
go.
sorry.
Actually, this is already out of date. It's already past summer of 2012. The Johns Pass property.
Well, that's the we completed the construction documents.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So we just arranged for our construction financing, and we hope to start demolition within the next month and then build out very soon thereafter. Our target is to open in November of this year.
Do you have a website set up?
Yes, we do.
What's it called?
Yes, it is the secretsofthesea.org.
Oh, it's ORG.
Yes.
Having troubles with people looking for lingerie or anything like that?
It's interesting. Secrets of the Sea is actually a church, and we tried to buy that name from them, and they wouldn't give it up, even though we offered more than what we thought was reasonable. So now we have the Secrets of the Sea. Yes. And the website is a 3-phase project right now. The first phase that you go on, we're still in our fundraising mode. We've raised over close to $2 million towards about a $3.6 million goal for the build-out construction exhibits. We have an additional $1 million endowment as part of that capital campaign. We have $100,000 from Tom James, Raymond James, that's already been contributed to endowment. So we're well on our way. But we still have the naming rights to the building. It's $1.5 million. We have some active leads that we have some friends, Mayor Baker is looking on our behalf to help us out. But there's still some exhibits that if you have $25,000 and above, get in,
Can name
pull
an
your
exhibit
friends
after you.
together. Again, this is a legacy for you and your family to leave here. It's an exciting opportunity to collaborate and partner with an organization that's worthwhile, I think.
And there are volunteer and even perhaps some employment opportunities once we get the doors open for graduate students to help out there, particularly with the exhibits as well as with the educational programs.
And marketing and development. We have about 32 positions that will be filled here. Right now we operate about 13 to 15 at our current facility.
And the current facility is still open and will be until they board up the inverted pyramid. So there's still lots to do out at the present here until they begin to tear it down. So don't shy away from it. Frank?
Yeah, Howard, I think it's great, and I applaud what you're doing. I think it's just a wonderful thing. I encourage everybody to get involved in these efforts. So we call this outreach, right? And one of the interests that we have, of course, is to have people, the public in general, understand what we do as researchers and why it's important and how it can help change and improve life and the way we live here. So how can you measure, how I know that people go to these places, to the aquarium, they have fun, they spend a day with the family there. Many of them go out of curiosity. We learn something no matter if we try to avoid it, so it's good. But how do you translate that, the real science? I mean, what are the opportunities and how much and how do you measure whether people that come out of there at the end of the day learn something about science?
It's a good question. We're starting with small steps with that question, and we have participated in a prime proposal through NSF to evaluate the Science Festival. To see if that has an impact. It's still informal science education outreach, to see if those participants are one, continuing to visit like-minded institutions throughout the year, whether they're looking at where they get their science information from necessarily. So that proposal wasn't funded this last go-around. We have resubmitted for the Science Festival. But what we have done, and Teresa, correct me if I'm wrong, we pilot tested the actual evaluation this year. We had iPads. I don't know if you, at the Science Festival, if you noticed, there were students going around with intercept, doing intercept surveys with the participants on iPads. So they were asking the same question to everyone that was there, and we were able to get immediate results from that. So we found out that we have primarily white, highly educated people coming to the Science Festival. That's one reason why we should focus on celebrity scientists to get that non-mainstream group that wouldn't necessarily come to a science festival because of the name. When we first started the Science Festival, I wanted to call it something else, like, Epcot. Something that wouldn't turn people away. But then, I was convinced that we needed to call it what it is. It's a science festival. We're celebrating science in our community, much like we're celebrating music, arts, and sports. And we've benefited from it. We're part of a national network now with the science festivals. MIT actually wrote that grant to the Sloan Foundation on our behalf to get the capacity building funds for us. So I think the next phase there is, hire John Falk and Lynn Durking, who are the first and foremost in informal science education evaluation, and see if we can get them here to this area and do some impact studies. The Sci Cafe also has an evaluator to it, the Teenage Sci Cafe. So we're getting little pieces of it, but maybe not the whole picture yet.
And if I can add to that, I was at a workshop at Florida Aquarium last year that was focused on informal science education for climate change research, and the speaker there was working for a marketing group who did a big study on behalf of a national association of aquarium zoos, museums, that kind of organization. And what they found was that in the current political environment where the general layperson doesn't necessarily trust government science or doesn't trust government or whatever, they are actually finding that the museums, zoos, aquariums, they are taking that information as
The most
fact.
trusted source, yeah. We're the most
Trusted, reliable, not partisan, from that regard. And so people do trust that information, and so it's really an important pipeline. I think that we keep the connection between the science and those kinds of organizations because, Secrets of the Sea is unusual in that it is a formal, this is the face of our science. But
It's also an attraction, though.
But in fact, most visitors to those kinds of institutes and organizations are treating it that way anyway. So it is a good outreach opportunity.
Right, I forgot, that's Bill Mott and the Ocean Project that actually done that evaluation on how people utilize our facilities.
And too, if I could follow up, we're planning on using a lot of social media to keep in touch with visitors after they pass through and get some feedback to how their experience may have altered the way they see things. But back to the connection to the college here, most of our federal grants now have some requirement for outreach and education, and this partnership with the aquarium is a very easy way for us to fulfill that requirement without having to hire a bunch of educators in-house. Simply partnering with the aquarium, we can satisfy that need. And Al, you had your hand up?
Well, I was just curious whether or not you've touched base with COL and their education outreach program. They have a major league education outreach program. The Consortium Ocean Leadership in Washington, they do it nationally. And they are in touch with 75 or 100 of the top marine educators in the country. So I would definitely touch base with those guys if you haven't.
We've certainly talked to them, but we could certainly spend a lot more effort in
Well, if there's one place nationally,
Is that where NOSB comes out of?
Yes.
Okay, then yes, we are. I'm sorry, we are.
Okay, you know Leslie Pert, talk to her.
No, I have not
People
spoken
like that,
directly
okay.
with her.
Because
No.
they work at the national level,
Yeah.
and they're advising places like Oregon State, and University of Washington Scripps, and other places like that.
That's an excellent suggestion.
Thank you, Al.
So we have been in touch with them, but perhaps not in as much depth as we need to be.
Well, they're looking for partnerships like this, for sure, yeah. But the expertise is kind of there, and they put cameras out on the drill ship and live stream it back and do many other things as well. So.
We'll definitely do that.
Yeah, we actually neglected to mention there is a mystery station called Ocean Tracker, thank you. And Butch and FIO, USF College of Marine Science, and the Center for Ocean Technology have been working on some ship-to-shore opportunities there. We've already tested it once, I believe, or twice with some of our outreach programs. So the idea there is to get the kids engaged with the educators and the scientists that
Okeanos
are out.
Explorer, so
Pardon me?
the Okeanos Explorer.
Well, this
so
is
they do-
specifically the Weatherbird.
Oh, okay.
But yes, I know Gail quite well, and
Okay.
Noah,
Yeah, it's a NOAA
Yeah,
project,
yeah.
right, yeah. But also, the Schmidt Oceanographic Institute, their big boats come in here, and there's a potential tie.
Yeah,
Of course,
our
they're looking
goal-
for money too.
Yeah, they're looking for other people's money. Might be confusing.
Do you have a dock? Is there a dock?
There is a dock there.
There's a dock, and we have an opportunity to bring in the vessels.
And there's a gambling cruise ship that's operating
Oh,
out of there
cool.
now.
We'll make that with Hooters.
Raise a little more money for the aquarium.
Oh my God.
So, any other questions or comments for Howard and Butch? Yes, Kim?
Do major marine research institutions in the U.S. have something like your operation that's allied with them, or is part of their functioning and so on?
I would say something like Birch Aquarium and Scripps have that relationship. You know,
Then there's the Mbari, Monterey Bay.
That's right. But you know, they're not as I think as vast as far as the ocean team has 14 institutions here that we're representing. I don't think they have that large of a network necessarily.
From what I know of those aquariums, they're more like the Florida Aquarium in that they're just a giant tank, large creature attraction, and not as educationally focused. Whereas, again, the whole idea is to engage the visitor in the research and technology that's going on. Again, selling it as you're a sea sleuth helping the scientists investigate these mysteries of the sea.
Anything else?
Well, I got one other thing.
Yes, sir.
It's been an observation of mine that museums, and art museums and natural history museums, they usually have a way set up so that you can get to the gift shop without having to pay to enter.
Yes.
Is that is yours?
Yes.
Okay.
It's in a storefront, so you can come in from the street, but you also have to go through it to get out.
Right there at the sidewalk, that's the main drag coming into John's Pass, and guests can, that don't buy tickets can come into the store and buy stuff, and then all of our guests have to exit to the gift shop.
Well, thank you again for being here.